Support and community teams sit on massive volumes of data. Connor, you talked about it when you first started at your company, how you scaled up that team a lot, and you're seeing a lot. You have tickets, reviews, Discord information, social stuff, store ratings. How do you turn all that noise into something that product teams can actually trust and act on? And what systems or habits do you use to help translate player signals into kind of those next decisions you want to make?
There's always a gap between product and support signals, almost in every organization that I worked at least. So back in the days, I used to think that maybe it's about like limited resources. Maybe it's about the lack of motivation. So why do they see those signals, but they actually don't take action on it? And with time, I just realized that it's more like a problem of like translation between departments. So we had an interesting case where a player texted our executive on LinkedIn and asking to change like a certain specific functionality. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying anyone should do that. Please don't like make it your process. But the message was so well written. The player explained exactly like what was happening, why it messed up the playing experience, why like it just breaks everything. And he even suggested a better way to do that. And that worked. We actually changed the entire functionality of the game because of that one player. And the most uncomfortable part for me, you know, as a lead support, was that we raised this up in the past. There was a signal, but we just didn't deliver it in a decision, like making decision ready way, like where we can see the clear impact, clear reasoning, clear suggestion. That what player basically did for us. So my conclusion is that the product, they don't ignore support, they just ignore untranslated feedback. And the question is, how can we translate the feedback so we don't pass the raw data and we pass like not noise, but something that they can take action on. So what we try to do now is that what that player did, we try to like send a simple short summary of what is happening, who is affected, why it matters, and a clear ask or question from the team. And that's where things started moving. And AI can be either, you know, amazing at this or very horrible at this. AI will be the first one to say, listen, you have to like, I don't know, 20% more complaints about ads in your new release. That sounds serious. For a decision maker, that is nothing. If your business is like ours, which is like an ad-based model in the app, you're not going to switch off ads just because the number went up, right? So what we learn to do is we learn to, instead of people hate ads, and here's the number of complaints, we learn to basically translate it in people hate ads because it breaks their experience, because the ad starts in the end of the level and it feels like punishment for the players, right? So we can work with that. And if you set up automation to help you like surface this kind of, you know, decision ready data, this is where things start get interesting.
I go back to what you said in the beginning with the messaging to the executive about a problem. I just imagine all my product friends like cringing, like you just wrecked the whole roadmap because someone came in. And not only that, if it's something you've been surfacing and no one's been listening, it's kind of, I don't want to use the word insulting, that like we've been trying to make this change and then one player comes in and just like, hey, here's this, and it all happens. And maybe it's good because it finally happened, but how do you get your voice louder? Say, hey, we tried to say this months ago. So next time we say something, how does this become more important? I think you brought up those following points. If you could take a look at the big data set and show, hey, here's the percentage of people talking about this is the type of change. Does it have the same results at the end of the day? Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes you have that executive that gets a message from someone that's like, we're going to change everything, right? And it's like, all right, well, how did we happen? But I think that's fascinating, that story. And do not message executives of companies you like, because most of the time that's not.
No, please don't.
So first, I think it's, and I'm sure the people in chat can relate to this, it's a rite of passage for every CS agent to have the executive got a player message alarm, which is shut everything down. An executive got a message from a player. We need to address this directly. And of course, it will be a player that you're familiar with. It will be a player who you have told time and time again, this feature is not available. There are no plans for this feature, or we are working on it, and so on. I'm pretty sure that's happened everywhere I've been so far. Um, that there's some as well that actually in a previous job had called management on their like personal lines and things to the point where they needed to block the number. It got very silly. That's not what we're here to talk about, though funny as it is. Yes, Mario, me too. It's they just go direct, and they don't seem to understand that that's not how workflows work. They don't sit them down and say, okay, well, I'm going to introduce you to the head of product, and the head of product is going to hear you out in the office while you're sitting there fuming and angry. It doesn't work. But to keep us on topic, because I'm very easily distracted, the situation that I end up in quite frequently is generally the CS workflow isn't the same as a product workflow. They're not parallel operations. The window for changing things in product, usually you need to do things a lot earlier in product or in development than you would in CS. I can get feedback today and make a change tomorrow. If I get player feedback, it's going to be a lot harder for development to pivot onto a new course and add something because the players are asking for it, no matter who they message. And one of the ways that can really help is when CS is asked for feedback by product or by similar organizations. And again, you've probably all been in this situation. It's finally your turn to give a contribution. You say along the lines of players don't like this feature, players feel the ads are too intrusive, and they say, how many players? And you're like, oh, about 20%. And they say, show me. And you're, well, I don't have the tickets in front of me. And you frantically search keywords like ads, intrusive, don't like, and you can't get the numbers up in time, and everyone's disappointed in you. Recurring nightmare, you see. I don't get a lot of sleep. And what I find the AI summaries do very much help with is being able to take those direct questions, quickly go through all the tickets you've received recently, and then present something in writing, quantifiable, that you can then hand over and say, it's not perfect, it's an AI summary, it's an estimate, but based on my own experience, this tracks, this looks accurate, this is the sort of thing that players are talking about right now.